awesome introduction. Woo. Thank you so much, Bob. I'm a little scruffy today and just rolled in, so sorry for the look, but we had a lot of fun coming in, didn't we, Jen?
We did.
We had Jen and Jeff riding together with me. It was awesome. They're about 10 miles out, and I'm so happy you're safe, Jeff. We found a massive pothole on the way in. Jeff found it for Jen and I, and his bike cratered into it, but thank God everybody's safe. So my day job, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and my day job, I look very similar to the suits that some of the dress shirts I see in the room. I have a company, we build sport fields, athletic fields, if you think of Braves Stadium or the Dodgers or the Marlins, the Cincinnati Reds, or the Indianapolis Colts. We build what we call the dance floor, the grass piece. So both the natural and synthetic systems. The main group we work for are high schools throughout Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. And we get up this way from time to time as well. But we're a really tight group of people in the company. We're very high culture, and I'm extremely lucky to lead that group of 140 people. But I turned 65 yesterday. And I'm always seeking some challenge to keep us moving. Our motto is that at Motz we move people to better lives. And so we give an awful lot of young people opportunity. We've got wonderful people that give back to the community. Everybody gets a day per quarter to do service efforts, and then we as a company do that as a group at certain points of the year. And it's just wonderful to be in that position, to be able to allow people to really each seek their passions. But about 6-7 years ago, I started talking about seeking that next challenge. I've always wanted to bike across the country. And then somebody pretty thoughtful said, Joe, I think you need to read a book before you just go off on another tangent, because I'm known to get off the grid and do some pretty adventurous things just to kind of release all that stress from the business cycle. So I love getting off and going hiking and camping and just winnowing down everything that we pack on in life. And sometimes, when you got that CEO title, you can get up there in your head. And so beneficial to get down to earth and understand that, hey, we're all grounded in the same thing. So I love getting off and started talking about biking across the country. And the book I was given was called Halftime, and that led me to Barrington. Really cool book of inspiration about moving from seeking success in business that so many of us can get caught up in, and like, is that going to be your entire life? To, in a phrase, it's moving from success in business to significance, understanding and pursuing something that gives you significance in life. And so I'm reading the book, I get to the last chapter, and it talks about this character, this Bob Lee guy. And he's done 3 rides, a ride for 3 reasons, and I'm, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I gotta find out about that, because I wasn't totally connected with the book yet. But a real sage person gave it to me and probably knew if I got to the end, I'm probably gonna persevere and hunt this guy up. So it took a little bit of work because his site is no longer out there. He's done this some years ago. But it's so awesome to track Bob down and to have that initial phone conversation where he probably thought it's another salesman calling on him, or trying to reach into his heart and try to. He gives in so many ways as I've gotten to know Bob. But we had a wonderful first conversation. We connected relative to our biking and the effort. And I honestly did not know yet I wanted to do this ride, but I wanted to realize more opportunity as a result of the ride. And I started just expressing my thoughts to Bob and was really seeking, how I could make it more significant and more purposeful. And so he did a wonderful job of starting, to reach into my heart and what really would move you, what drives you. And thank goodness, I do not have MS or Parkinson's or anything I know of at this point. And my family is healthy. I got my wife Jane here, my oldest daughter Michelle. Michelle lives here in Chicago. And so as I have two sons as well, Eric and Nicholas, and everybody's good in that front. But I've talked a bit about the company. We're what you call a real high culture engagement group. And I've got 4 people in the company that are caring for loved ones with Parkinson's, including my president. Her husband got Parkinson's at 37 years old. He was very outgoing, very athletic, doing all kinds of things. And I mainly started to understand the difficulty with brain diseases, and in particular Parkinson's, through my one-on-ones with my employees that were dealing with it. And they're coming to work day after day, and I'm asking a ton of them and not realizing, what they might have had to go through to help their loved one get going that day, and how variable it can be from one day to the next. And then through those relationships, I got to know the person that each are caring for. And so Bob was able to, as I talked it through, like, Joe, there's something there, you could really start putting a connection together there. And it really then led to me making a visit up here to meet Bob, and then just a wonderful opportunity from that to meet Joy Wagner and the inspirational things that she's got going here. I met a couple of Jeff was here working out like he seemingly does every week all the time. It's awesome. And a bunch of other people utilizing this wonderful facility. And I was much better able to start to think about what could be and realize that this place is extremely unique. In fact, I've done, and my team has done, a lot of research looking for other facilities like this around the country, and we've yet to find one that matches up to what's going on here. So in talking to Joy and her real vision of, can this be scaled? Could it be that we can create this kind of care that people are realizing here and other centers? So with that, I went home really inspired and was like, what could I put together? And we happen to have in Cincinnati a wonderful research center. One of the directors was here today. She had an early flight back, but the research center is a neuroscience institute on brain disease. It's called the Gardner Neuroscience Institute. Wonderful researchers doing awesome work, seeking, hopefully a cure one day. But I went back and started visiting with them and talking about what could we do to take advantage of the research that's being done with all this mindfulness around specialty exercise, like steady boxing and cycling and the kind of work that's done here. And can we get that out into our community more so that we can have something like this here? And that mustard seed of conversation started then a circle of communication between me, several people with Parkinson's, and my president, Valerie Webster, who is my cohort in this effort, to really look at what is best going to really change what is for people. And what we came to is that, and that's why Sean Cotton was here today. She's director of integrative medicine there at the center. So it's a realization that this exercise piece is so critical, but then we can move it even that much further and help if we can also connect that with the mindfulness that's needed around relaxation. Because of you know much better than I the stress you deal with when you don't know from day to day what you're going to face. That causes a lot of anxiety, a lot of challenge. So with brain disease, relaxation and mindfulness becomes so critically important. And then the third tier that is being looked at deeper is how much our diet for all of us affects our day each and every day. And particularly so when you're on a medication regime. And so it's putting those three together, the heart and the critical piece being the exercise, the social engagement that comes with that in a wonderful facility like this, along with the mindfulness on relaxation, music, art, looking at a lot of different mindful therapies to help be a yin for every yang, for the exercise to be able to relax. And then the kind of teaching kitchen model that exists here. So I like to say that the program I'm hoping we can scale is a train the trainer effort where we've got clinical applied research being done to understand what is the best balance of those three, and now how can we best replicate that out into communities of need, wherever that might be. So this $650,000 quest, I'm playing turning 65, I'm biking 6,500 miles, and I'm trying to raise $650,000. Before I started pedaling, we were at 90, and we're now over $100,000 raised. So, and I've just got started, so I'm super psyched about the momentum that's happening, and it's been so tremendously gratifying to see the good in Americana as I cycle the back roads. People coming out in every community, and just the inspiration of, we've all got something, you know. What I love is how many people, especially in the case of brain disease, look at the glass as half full, not half empty, and really got that grit and perseverance. So a bit on the biking, you know, I related a lot to what you have to deal with. You know, you've got it for life, but I've got it for 90 days where I have to get up day after day and bike another 85 miles. But I'm getting wonderful calls from people with Parkinson's in particular that are just so, the conversations are so inspiring. I can't help but, you know, just keep turning those pedals over and cycling. So I admittedly have just got started. I've got 352 miles, I think, on there of 6,500, and that's probably going to be a rounding error. I want to get to the whole thing. But, maybe if we could bring up the map, I could just show. Until then, this is the bike. It's interesting because the most common comments I've got are like, first they're like, you're crazy. And then the second is, where is all your gear? You know, you're staying in hotels, aren't you? I'm like, no, I haven't stayed in one since. I stayed my daughter's home last night, but that's been it. And Bob has been kind enough to give me the guest room tonight, so that'll be awesome. But I do have all the gear in here. So on the front of this bike is, this is the bedroll. And underneath here, believe it or not, that's the whole sleeping quarters. That's a hammock. So I'm hanging in between trees and off fence posts. And the other side on the front bag is like a tent, a rain fly that goes over the hammock on wet nights. And then the center of the bike is food and all redundancy. Every part on the bike, I've got a part in here to replace it with. Spare tubes. The tires are full of lube so that if you hit something, it'll seal it back up. And then everything I got in the house is winnowed down to that bag for clothes. So not too many changes are in order. But that's the entire setup. The bike weighs about 63 pounds right now. So relatively light, you know, for going across. And then, just to show you quickly, you get a sense of the map. people ask why, and I said, well, I guess because it's there, you know, it's kind of like, why did you climb that mountain? But home in Cincinnati, started from there, and these are the campsites each time. Started at a farm, and then I've had a couple of wonderful campsites at parks. I camped along the Tippecanoe River. Last night I was at my daughter's place, so that was awesome. But you can see it starting, and then I'll proceed up to North Dakota, up to the Canadian line. In another life, some 35 years ago, I was president of a professional grounds management society, where you see people mowing lawns and doing floral displays. That was the start of my business that led to where we are now. And we were involved in helping establish the International Peace Gardens up at the between Canada and the U.S. So I'm going back there to kind of reminisce. And then I'm gonna try to find trees in North or South Dakota. I'm told that people have been busting my chops saying, good luck, you're not gonna find any trees. So it'll probably be fence posts and rocks I'm hanging off of. And then down to Boulder, Colorado. I've had the good fortune to be associated with a national group of private high culture businesses, and there happen to be a lot of craft breweries in that association. So there's some awesome breweries there that are going to host me. Odell Brewery, Left Hand Brewery, New Belgium Brewery. So that'll get me down there, you know. And then in Telluride, I meet up with 8 other crazy buddies from Cincinnati, and I switch out and I put mountain tires on here, and I'm going over trail from Telluride over to Moab on mountain bike trail. Same bike, but with knobbies on it. And then switch off, go to LA, San Diego. My brother is down here, lower part of Texas, so going down there. And then head back for home, young man. Eventually get back to Cincinnati. Jane, my wife, is coming out in several places, thank goodness, to visit. She's coming to Bismarck, North Dakota, of all places. I don't know why you picked there. And then she's hopefully going to make a couple other stops and down in Texas. So, look, well, that'll certainly keep me pedaling.
So how long will the whole thing take?
Thank you. So 90 days. Yeah. So 85 miles a day, that's average. That would be 76 days. So that gives me 14 off days. There'll probably be unforeseen, you know, we all have unforeseen things that happen. So there'll be bike issues, you know, there'll be some, I'm trying to run away from the heat of the summer and trying to get across the mountains before the snow flies too hard. But there will be things, so you need some days in there. So 76 days of actual riding and 85 on average. But I won't average that going over the mountains. So I'll need a few to spare. But it's, you know, you can either look at it as crazy, or the way I've looked at the physical challenges is in a sense, I hate that. It'll be hard other than coming home to come to the finish line. It's awesome, the process. I just love the process of engagement, you know, in business, in life, and in what we want to be remembered for. So to me, it's all about the pursuit, you know, and how much can each of us think about, gosh, we're each extremely lucky, one, to be born where we are, you know, it's just amazing. So what can we do with that? So I just love this this quest that we're all on, and so to me it's inspiring to have people like you come forward and each of you doing amazing things in your own ways. I just love the goodness in people as travel. It's been awesome. Great to be with you all.